parents disowned me at 21 for not being good enough. Now they demand I hand over my bank accounts and help fix their favorite daughter's mess. I'm 29 now, and my parents and I barely speak. Actually, they barely spoke to me at all for the past 7 years. The split happened right after I told them I wasn't going into a field they approved of. It wasn't because I was lazy or aimless or whatever they liked to say. It was because I just didn't care about the same things they did. To them, the only way to be someone was to go to an Ivy League, pick a big-name career, and make a lot of money doing something that would impress their friends. But that wasn't me. I wanted to be a graphic designer. I liked creating things. And I didn't care if that made me seem like a disappointment or a failure. That's what I told them when I was 21, and that's when they cut me off. No more financial support, no visits, no calls. I was basically erased from the family for not following their rules. My sister, Anna, was the opposite. She was the poster child for everything my parents wanted. She got into an Ivy League law program, graduated with top honors, landed a big job at a top firm, and eventually married a guy just as wealthy and ambitious as her. They had a fancy apartment in the city, took luxury vacations, and always had the newest car. Every time she hit a milestone, my parents would make sure everyone knew. Every holiday gathering was about Anna and her achievements. Me? I wasn't even invited to most of them. Meanwhile, I was living a completely different life. After college, I worked a few different gigs, building up experience and trying to scrape together enough for rent and food. I eventually went freelance, took on bigger clients, and started making a name for myself, albeit quietly. I wasn't rich, but I was doing fine, and I was doing it on my own. It wasn't a life of status and wealth, but it was mine, and I was proud of that. For years, I'd reach out to my family here and there, just a text or a call, to say hi or let them know I was doing okay. They'd never respond. I wasn't mad, but it felt like I was a ghost. I stopped trying after a while. If they weren't going to accept me for who I was, I didn't see a point in begging for scraps of attention. Fast forward to earlier this year. Out of nowhere, my mom called me. It was almost shocking to see her name pop up on my phone. For a second, I thought maybe something happened to my dad, but when I picked up, she didn't sound upset. Instead, she was awkwardly cheerful, asking me how I'd been, saying it had been a long time. I didn't really know what to say, so I just listened while she filled me in on family updates that I had no context for. After 5 minutes of small talk, she finally got to the point. Turns out Anna's husband had been involved in some huge financial scandal. Something about a Ponzi scheme or investor fraud. I didn't get the full details because my mom sort of glossed over it. What mattered to her was that Anna's life had completely fallen apart. Her husband's assets were seized, they lost their apartment, and now she was unemployed with nothing but debt and bad press hanging over her head. It was the kind of scandal that had ripped her life out from under her. And now they were calling me because they wanted me to help her get back on her feet. My mom explained that Anna was in a dark place, struggling to move forward, and she thought it would be nice if I could let Anna stay with me for a while until she sorted things out. She just needs a bit of support right now, my mom said, as if the past 7 years hadn't happened. At first, I told her I needed time to think about it, which wasn't the answer she wanted. She got defensive, saying things like, family is supposed to help family, and this isn't just about you. I pointed out that family hadn't exactly been their priority when I was struggling, and that maybe they should ask her friends for help instead. My mom didn't like that. She got all tight-lipped, said she was disappointed I couldn't put aside petty grudges, and hung up. But it didn't end there. 2 days later, my dad called, and he went a step further, suggesting that maybe I could offer Anna a job in my field. Now, I'm a freelance designer. I'm not running some big firm that's hiring staff. He made it sound like I owed it to Anna to use my connections to help her rebuild her life. This was all news to me, since they'd never acknowledged that I had any connections until now. I said as calmly as I could that Anna was not my responsibility. My dad didn't like that one bit. He kept saying that Anna was family, that she'd helped me out so much over the years. I pointed out that she'd never actually done anything for me. And in fact, she'd ignored my attempts to stay in touch after they'd all cut me off. He brushed that off like it was beside the point and started telling me that I was being ungrateful. Ungrateful to the family who'd all but disowned me for not living up to their standards. A week later, they called me again. This time, they wanted something even more absurd. My mom suggested that I temporarily let them manage my finances because it would streamline things. She was talking about it like I was a child, and she wanted me to give them access to my bank accounts so they could redistribute some of my income to help Anna until she got back on her feet. "It'll be more efficient," she said, like she was trying to explain simple math to me. I hung up. I didn't respond to the dozen texts that followed. After everything, they thought they could just swoop back in, dictate how I spent my money, and expect me to fund my sister's recovery. Then came the next twist. Out of nowhere, I started getting texts from family friends and mutual acquaintances, saying my parents had reached out to them, worried about my sudden change in behavior. They implied I was going through some sort of crisis, and that I'd pushed away my family. One of my friends even forwarded me a message where my mom had said she was deeply concerned about the choices I was making. The tone was as if I'd joined a cult or was spiraling out of control. It was such a bizarre, twisted version of reality. All those years of silence, and now they were acting like they were some concerned, loving family that had no idea why their son had turned away from them. After that, I finally decided to cut off contact. I didn't need this drama, and I wasn't about to let them rewrite history. But then Anna herself reached out. She sent me a long, carefully worded email apologizing for everything, saying she'd had no idea I felt this way, that she thought we were still on good terms. She mentioned that she never realized how the distance between us had affected me, like it had all been some misunderstanding. Then she asked if she could stay with me for a little while. "I just need a place to catch my breath," she wrote. She made it sound simple, like we could just pick up where we left off, like she hadn't ignored my existence for years. It was surreal. I remembered how, for years, I'd been the one reaching out, trying to keep some sort of connection. I'd invited her to my graduation, texted her updates about my life, tried to keep her in the loop. She'd never once replied. And now, suddenly, I was supposed to open my door and give her a place to catch her breath? I wrote back, saying that while I was sorry for what she was going through, I didn't think it was a good idea. I didn't see the point in pretending we were close, and I wasn't in a position to be her safety net. After that, things got quiet. I figured my parents had finally taken the hint, and I felt a huge weight lift off me. But then, just a week later, they pulled one final stunt. I got an invitation to what was supposedly a family dinner. It was my dad's idea, a last attempt to fix things. For whatever reason, I decided to go. I guess a small part of me thought maybe this time would be different. It wasn't. The second I walked in, I realized it wasn't a dinner. It was an ambush. The entire family was there, and they'd all decided it was time to set me straight. My dad led the charge, saying I'd let them down and that it was time to stop holding grudges. They made me sound like some rebellious teenager who needed to be disciplined. When I tried to explain my side, they all acted like they had no idea what I was talking about. They brushed off every point I made. The years of silence, the fact that they'd cut me off, the way they'd ignored every milestone in my life. They were rewriting history right in front of me. Anna sat there, looking down at her hands, occasionally glancing up but never saying a word. She had this expression like she was somehow the victim in all this. My mom was on the verge of tears, talking about how heartbroken she was that the family had drifted apart, saying things like, "This isn't what I wanted for us." Then came the kicker. My dad, in his usual calm and authoritative voice, said, "You need to grow up and realize that family means sacrifices." He actually said, "You're not living in the real world if you think you can ignore us and go on with your life." According to him, this whole situation was because I was selfish and living in my own little bubble. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'd spent years scraping by, working hard for every dollar, while they sat back and acted like I didn't exist. And now they wanted me to put all of that aside and act like we were one big, happy family? At that point, I'd had enough. I got up, looked right at Anna, and said, "Where were you when I was struggling? When I couldn't even afford to keep the lights on some months? When I reached out to you, just hoping for a text back, where were you?" She looked away, like she didn't want to hear it. Then I turned to my parents. I told them that family might mean sacrifices, but it's a two-way street. I told them that I'd been the only one trying for years to keep us together, and they'd pushed me away at every turn. I reminded them that they were the ones who cut me off when I didn't fit their mold, that they chose Anna over me every single time, and that they'd ignored every accomplishment I'd made because it didn't live up to their standards. My mom started crying, saying, "We just wanted what was best for you." My dad shook his head and said, "You're making this about you." And Anna finally spoke up, saying, "Can't we just move forward?" as if none of it mattered. I realized right then and there that they weren't going to change. They didn't actually care about me. They cared about what I could do for them. They wanted me back in the family fold, but only if it meant I'd play the part they needed me to play. The backup plan, the fixer, the one they could turn to now that their golden child was in trouble. I told them I was done. For real this time. I said that family is supposed to be there for you through thick and thin, not just when it's convenient. I said that they'd made their choices a long time ago, and now I was making mine. I told Anna that while I was sorry for what she was going through, it wasn't my responsibility to fix her life. And then I walked out. I went home that night and blocked their numbers. I unfollowed them on every social media platform and told the friends who'd been there for me what had happened. They were all supportive, reminding me that I didn't owe my family anything after the way they'd treated me. It's been a few months since that night, and I can honestly say I feel lighter. Cutting ties with them was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was also the most freeing. I still think about them sometimes, especially around holidays or when I see other people with their families. But I know that I did everything I could to make things right, and I refuse to be anyone's backup plan. Now, I'm living life on my own terms. I'm building a career, surrounded by people who actually care about me for who I am, not for what I can do for them. And while part of me will always wish things had been different with my family, I know I made the right choice. I don't know if they'll ever reach out again, and honestly, I don't care. I'm finally done trying to be someone they can accept, and I'm done sacrificing my own happiness to play a part in their lives. This time, I'm putting myself first, and it feels good.
My ex texted, "I'm sorry for everything, please give me another chance." I said, "Apology accepted." Then I forwarded her message to her current partner with context. 20 minutes later, she was calling me screaming about revenge. I, 29 male, got a text from my ex Melissa last Tuesday at 2:47 a.m. We'd been broken up for 8 months after I caught her in my apartment with Derek, her just a friend from work coworker. The kicker? She'd been using my spare key to bring him there while I was at my night shifts at the hospital. Her text was this long, rambling thing about how she's grown so much and realized what she lost and can't stop thinking about what we had. Real poetic stuff. Ended with, "I know I don't deserve it, but please give me another chance. I'll do anything." I stared at that text for maybe 30 seconds. Then I typed back, "Apology accepted." She immediately started typing. Those 3 dots were going crazy. But before she could send whatever novel she was writing, I took a screenshot of our conversation and forwarded it to her current boyfriend Marcus with a simple message. "Hey man, thought you should see this. She sent this 20 minutes ago." For context, she cheated on me with her coworker Derek in my own apartment. Just looking out for you. Then I went back to bed. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded. 17 missed calls from Melissa. I finally picked up on the 18th. "You vindictive piece of shit. How dare you?" "Good morning to you too. Marcus just broke up with me. He's packing his stuff right now. This is your fault. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's your fault for texting your ex at 3 a.m. asking for another chance while you have a boyfriend. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. Then why are you so upset?" She hung up on me. But here's where it gets interesting. Because Melissa doesn't handle rejection well. Never has. And I knew this shitstorm was just getting started. First, she tried calling my mom. My mom. At 7 a.m. on a Saturday, crying about how I ruined her life and manipulated the situation. Mom, bless her, just said, "Sweetheart, you texted him first," and hung up. Then came the social media campaign. Melissa posted this whole sob story on Instagram about toxic exes who can't let go and narcissistic behavior. Girl really said I was the one who couldn't let go when she texted me first. The comments were wild. Half her friends calling me trash, the other half pointing out the obvious. But the real kicker came yesterday. I get a text from an unknown number. "This is Melissa's sister Becca. What you did was fucked up and you know it. She's been crying for 3 days. Marcus won't even talk to her. You need to fix this." I responded, How exactly should I fix your sister texting me at 3 a.m. while she has a boyfriend? You didn't have to forward it to Marcus. That was pure revenge. It was transparency. Something your sister might want to try. Fuck you. You always were a self-righteous prick. And yet your sister still wanted me back. She blocked me after that. But wait, there's more. Because Derek, yeah, the coworker she cheated with, decided to slide into my DMs. Bro, that was cold what you did to Mel. I didn't even respond, just screenshotted it and posted it to my story with the caption, "The audacity." My friends had a field day with that one. Then this morning, I woke up to 12 missed calls. Not from Melissa this time. From Marcus. The Marcus call was enlightening. So I called him back, and this man was spiraling. Turns out my screenshot wasn't the first red flag he'd noticed. It was just the confirmation he needed. Bro, I need to know everything. Everything. Was she always like this? I told him about finding her with Derek. About the gaslighting when I confronted her. We were just watching Netflix. Yeah, naked, sure. About how she'd convinced half our friend group that I was controlling for being upset about her hanging out with male friends at 2 a.m. Marcus went quiet. Then, she told me you were abusive, said you were jealous and possessive, and that's why she had to leave. Let me guess, she also told you Derek was gay? How did you know that? Because she told me he was gay too, right up until I found them together. Turns out, Melissa had been texting multiple exes, not just me. Marcus found the messages after going through her phone. She'd given him the passcode months ago and forgot. 3 other guys, all getting variations of "I miss us" at various hours of the night. But here's where it gets really good. Marcus decided to do some digging. Connected with Derek on LinkedIn, savage. Had a professional networking coffee. Derek spilled everything. Not only was he not gay, but Melissa had been pursuing him for months before we broke up. She'd told him we were in an open relationship. She'd told him I knew about them. Derek had only found out the truth when I walked in on them and lost my shit. He'd been genuinely horrified. Tried to apologize to me multiple times, but I'd blocked him everywhere. So why did you DM me calling me cold? I asked Marcus. That wasn't Derek, bro. That was Melissa. She has his Instagram password. She has like 4 of her ex's passwords because she helps them with their social media. I pulled up the DM. Sure enough, looking closer at the profile, the recent posts were all stuff Melissa would share. Motivational quotes, sunset pics, workout selfies that were clearly staged by someone else. We talked for 2 hours. By the end, Marcus had moved back in with his parents and was planning to get tested for STDs just in case. He thanked me for the heads up. Sorry for blowing up your phone, man. I was just processing. All good. Been there. Can I ask you something? Why'd you forward the screenshot immediately? Like, why not just ignore her? I thought about it, because 8 months ago I wish someone had told me the truth about her. Figured I'd pay it forward. But Melissa wasn't done. Oh no. Because yesterday, I got a call from my boss. I need y'all to understand. I'm a radiologic technologist at a major hospital. It's a good job, stable. Been there 3 years with 0 issues. So when my supervisor Rachel called me into her office, I wasn't worried until I saw her face. We received a complaint about you, she said, sliding a paper across the desk. Someone had sent an anonymous email to the hospital's HR department, 3 pages of accusations about my unprofessional behavior, sexual harassment of coworkers, and creating a hostile work environment. My heart dropped. Then I read closer. The email specifically mentioned incidents that happened outside of work, at places I'd been with Melissa, using phrases she'd used in our arguments. Rachel, this is my ex-girlfriend. She's been harassing me for 2 weeks because I exposed her cheating to her current boyfriend. Rachel nodded. I figured it might be something like that. The IT department traced the email. It came from a coffee shop IP address, sent from a ProtonMail account created that same day. Thank God for competent IT departments. We're not taking any action based on an anonymous complaint with no evidence, Rachel continued. But I need you to document everything. If she escalates, we'll involve legal. I showed her the texts, the calls, the Instagram posts. Rachel's eyebrows went higher with each screenshot. Your ex seems unstable. That's one word for it. I thought that would be Melissa's extinction burst. I was wrong. Because 2 days later, my apartment building's management called. Someone had reported me for noise violations, aggressive behavior toward neighbors, and possible drug activity. My building manager, Tony, was confused. "Jake, you're literally our quietest tenant. You work nights and barely make a sound. What's going on?" I explained the situation. Tony pulled up the complaint email. Same style, same phrases, same Proton Mail domain. "We'll disregard this," Tony said. "But if this keeps happening, you might want to consider a restraining order." Then the Yelp reviews started hitting the hospital. 1-star reviews mentioning me by name, claiming I was rude, unprofessional, that I'd made inappropriate comments during exams. All posted within a 6-hour window. All from accounts created that day. The hospital's legal department got involved at that point. They issued a cease and desist letter to Melissa's last known address. But the real karma was yet to come. Because while Melissa was busy trying to destroy my life, she forgot about someone else she'd pissed off. Derek's actual girlfriend. Plot twist. Derek had a girlfriend the entire time he was hooking up with Melissa. A girlfriend named Carmen, who worked at the same company but in a different department. A girlfriend who had no idea about Melissa until Marcus reached out to Derek for that coffee chat. See, when Marcus met with Derek panicked. Thought Marcus was going to beat his ass or something. So he brought back up his buddy Tom from accounting. Tom, who happens to be dating Carmen's best friend. You see where this is going. Tom went home and told his girlfriend Emma about the drama. Emma, being a real one, immediately called Carmen. "Girl, you need to hear this." Carmen confronted Derek. Derek tried to deny it, then minimize it, then finally admitted to a brief mistake with Melissa. Carmen dumped him on the spot, and then did something beautiful. She reached out to me on Instagram. "Hey, I know we don't know each other, but I heard about what your ex put you through. I just found out my boyfriend was the other guy. I'm really sorry for what happened to you." We talked, compared notes. Turned out Melissa had been telling Derek all sorts of lies about their relationship too. That she was leaving me, that we were separated, that I was abusive, and she needed comfort. Carmen was pissed. Not just at Derek, but at Melissa. She knew he had a girlfriend. We'd met at company events. She smiled in my face knowing she was fucking my boyfriend. Then Carmen said something that made me grin. "I think it's time Melissa learned that actions have consequences." See, Carmen works in HR, not at their company. She'd transferred to a competitor after getting promoted. But she still had connections. Lots of connections. Within a week, word had somehow spread through their entire industry about Melissa's behavior. How she'd pursued taken men. How she'd lied about relationships. How she'd tried to destroy her ex's career when faced with the consequences of her actions. Melissa's LinkedIn started getting interesting. Former coworkers were removing her as a connection. Her recommendations disappeared one by one. The women in her industry started a whisper network. Then came the coup de grace. Their company announced a restructuring. Melissa's position was eliminated. Was it related? Officially, no. But Carmen's best friend Emma just happened to be dating Tom from accounting, who just happened to mention to his boss how difficult Melissa had been making the workplace for others. Melissa called me one last time last week. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. She was sobbing. "I lost everything. My job, Marcus, my reputation. Are you happy now?" "Melissa, I didn't do anything except forward your own words to the person who deserved to see them. Everything else, that was all you. I'm going to sue you for defamation. Good luck with that. Truth is an absolute defense. I hate you. That's fine. But next time you're drunk at 3 a.m., maybe just order a pizza instead of texting your ex." She screamed something incoherent and hung up. Yesterday, I ran into Derek at a coffee shop. He looked rough. Carmen had apparently made sure everyone knew exactly why they'd broken up. His reputation at work was shot. He'd been passed over for a promotion he'd been gunning for. He started to approach me, probably to apologize again, but I just held up my hand. "Dude, just don't." He nodded and left. As for me, I'm doing great. The hospital gave me a commendation for handling the false complaints professionally. My boss Rachel offered to set me up with her sister. I started seeing someone new, a pediatric nurse named Grace who thinks the whole story is hilarious and regularly jokes about checking my phone at 3 a.m. just in case. Marcus and I actually became friends through all this. We grab beers sometimes and laugh about the bullet we both dodged. Carmen ended up dating a guy from her new company who treats her right. She sent me a picture from their recent vacation with the caption, "Living my best life. Thanks for the wake-up call." And Melissa? Last I heard through the grapevine, she'd moved back in with her parents and was trying to rebrand herself as a life coach on TikTok. Her videos about overcoming toxic relationships and rising above narcissistic abuse have about 12 views each. Turns out when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And Melissa? She hit the jackpot. Edit, since some of you asked, yes, I kept all the documentation in case she tries anything else. Yes, the cease and desist is still in effect. No, I don't feel bad. She made her choices, and choices have consequences. Edit 2. For those saying I went too far, I forwarded one screenshot of her own words to the person she was betraying. Everything else that happened was either her own doing or the natural consequences of people finding out who she really was. I didn't make her lie, cheat, or harass me. I just stopped keeping her secrets. Edit 3. Carmen, if you're reading this, I know Emma showed you my Reddit. You're a badass, and I'm glad you're happy. Also, Tom says hi and that he's sorry for accidentally starting a revolution. El Mayo.
My aunt publicly declared at family dinner, "He's just a worthless parasite sucking us dry," while everyone laughed. I walked out without a word and emailed my resignation to my uncle. 2 months later, my phone blew up with 39 texts from my uncle begging me to return and help save their failing business. I, 28M, have worked for my uncle's manufacturing business since I was 19. Not because I particularly loved it, but because family helps family, the mantra my uncle repeated every time he needed something from me, but conveniently forgot when I needed anything. For almost 9 years, I was the one who stayed late fixing problems that weren't mine, worked weekends when others called in sick, and generally kept things running, while my uncle played golf with clients, and my cousins managed departments they knew nothing about. I've designed systems, trained staff, and even secured 3 major contracts that literally doubled the company's revenue last year. My salary? About 40% below market rate. I should have left years ago, but there was always another crisis, another project, another guilt trip about family loyalty. Last month, my uncle hosted the annual company appreciation dinner at his house, which was really just a family dinner plus 2 longtime employees, who might as well be family. My aunt was serving her famous pot roast, dry as always, but no one dares say it, when my cousin mentioned the new Tesla he just ordered. "How'd you swing that on your salary?" my other cousin asked, smirking. "Dad approved my performance bonus," my cousin replied, taking a swig of his beer. I almost choked. Performance bonus? The guy who'd spent 3 months messing up the inventory system I built, then made me fix it on weekends while he took credit? I couldn't help myself. That's funny, because I remember spending 6 weekends straight fixing that inventory disaster. Still waiting on my bonus for that one. The table went quiet for a moment, then my uncle chuckled awkwardly. "Well, management has different compensation structures, you know how it is." "Yeah," my aunt chimed in, wine glass in hand. "Besides, it's not like you have a family to support. My son has responsibilities." Like his gambling habit and 3rd divorce, I thought but didn't say. My uncle tried changing the subject, but my aunt wasn't done. "Honestly, I don't know why you're complaining. We gave you a job when nobody else would. You live in that tiny apartment, no expenses, while the rest of us have real financial burdens." I stayed quiet, pushing pot roast around my plate. That tiny apartment costs me 40% of my already below-market salary, but sure. "You know what your problem is," my aunt continued, getting louder. Everyone at the table was watching now, including the 2 employees, who looked deeply uncomfortable. "You don't appreciate what we've done for you. For 9 years, you've been nothing but a drain." My uncle half-heartedly muttered, "Now, honey." That's when she said it, gesturing at me with her wine glass. "He's just a worthless parasite sucking us dry." And then they laughed. Not everyone, the 2 employees stared at their plates, but my uncle, my cousins, even my uncle's brother. Actual laughter. I sat there for maybe 5 seconds. Then I just put my napkin on the table, stood up, and walked out. No drama, no words, just left. Behind me, I heard my aunt say something like, "Oh look, he's having another one of his moments. He'll be back tomorrow begging for overtime, as usual." More laughter. I drove home, drafted a resignation email with instructions for all my current projects, attached documentation for the systems I'd built, and hit send. Then I turned off notifications and went to bed. The next morning, I had a bunch of missed calls. I didn't listen to the voicemails. Instead, I updated my LinkedIn profile for the first time in years and reached out to a former coworker who'd been trying to recruit me. By the end of the week, I had 3 interviews scheduled and TBH felt weirdly calm. Every time my phone buzzed with my uncle's number, I felt a twinge of that old guilt, but then I'd remember my aunt's words and the laughter that followed. 2 weeks later, I accepted a position with my former coworker's company. 70% salary increase, actual benefits, and a signing bonus that made my eyes water. I start next month. I've blocked most of my family on social media, but kept my phone number the same. Call it curiosity, call it pettiness, but part of me wanted to see how long it would take for the consequences to hit. The answer, around 2 months. I'll update if anything interesting happens. Right now, I'm ignoring those texts and focusing on apartment hunting. Turns out I can afford a lot more than a tiny apartment when I'm not being exploited by family. Edit, to answer some questions, no, I'm not making this up. Wish I was TBH. And yes, my resume was good enough to get another job because I actually have valuable skills despite what my family thinks. Update 1. Sorry for the delay in updating. Been absolutely swamped with the new job and moving stuff. Thanks for all the comments and messages. Can't believe how many of you have similar stories, WTF. So after ignoring those 30-something texts, my uncle actually showed up at my apartment. Just knocked on my door at like 7 a.m. on a Sunday. I was still half asleep, hadn't even had coffee, hair probably looking like a bird's nest. I opened the door and just stared at him. He looked like absolute crap, bags under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, the whole 9 yards. Not his usual, I'm better than you look. Can we talk? He said, already trying to step inside without waiting for me to answer. I blocked the doorway. About what? He sighed all dramatic like. You know exactly what. The business is struggling since you left. Nobody knows how half the systems work. We've had server crashes and the inventory system is all messed up again. I left documentation, I said, and offered a notice period which you declined. He'd actually sent a nasty email saying don't bother coming in after I resigned. Nobody can understand your documentation, he snapped, then caught himself. Look, we made a mistake. Things were said that shouldn't have been said. But this is family, we need to stick together. I just stared at him. Did my aunt send you? He didn't answer, which was answer enough, LOL. The answer is no, I said. I've accepted another position. I start next week. That's when he got mad. You ungrateful little sh*t, after everything we've done for you? Your mother would be ashamed. Low blow, bringing my dead mom into it. My mother, I said, trying not to lose it, taught me not to let people treat me like garbage. Goodbye. I shut the door, hands shaking like crazy. Then I turned off my phone, made coffee, and tried to calm down by unpacking some boxes. Had a minor anxiety attack in the bathroom, but whatever. The next day, the flying monkeys came out in full force. First my cousin called, then my other cousin texted some BS about family loyalty, then even my uncle's brother sent this long-ass email about family obligations and how I was destroying my uncle's legacy by withholding my expertise. The most interesting thing happened yesterday, though. One of the employees who was at that dinner, the guy who looked super uncomfortable when my aunt was going off, messaged me on LinkedIn. He apologized for not saying anything that night, told him it wasn't his place to get involved, and then told me what's been happening. Since I left, they've lost 2 major clients. The systems keep crashing because no one knows how to maintain them properly. My cousin, Tesla guy, tried to fix things and ended up corrupting the database, even worse, LMAO. They had to hire some emergency IT consultant who charged them a fortune for a few days of work and still couldn't fix everything. Apparently, my uncle finally admitted to everyone that I had been somewhat valuable to the company. My aunt is still being a witch about it, though, saying they're better off without me and that they just need to hire someone who documents their work properly. I documented everything. Not my fault they never bothered to read it. The best part, my uncle apparently tried calling my new company to warn them about me. My new boss, who I've known for years, just laughed it off and told me about it during orientation. Said it only confirmed he'd made the right choice in hiring me. I started the new job on Monday. It's only been a few days, but holy crap, the difference is night and day. People actually say thank you when you help them? Wild concept. Still getting texts from family, but I set up an auto response that says, this number is no longer accepting guilt trips, manipulation, or gaslighting. For all other communications, please email. Edit. For those asking about the database, it was a custom solution I built over years because my uncle refused to pay for commercial software. It worked fine when maintained properly, but my cousin probably tried to optimize it without understanding the structure. Edit 2. Yes, I have backups of everything important, including all documentation. No, I'm not legally liable for anything that happens after I left. Checked with a lawyer friend just to be sure. Update 2. Hey Reddit, back with another update because things have gotten even weirder and I need to vent. Haven't had much free time lately between the new job, which is awesome BTW, and setting up my new place. Found out my microwave doesn't work right and the maintenance guy can't come until next week, so that's fun. Anyway, it's been like 2 months since I started the new job and TBH life is actually pretty good. My team values my input, my boss actually notices when I do good work, still feels weird, and I finally have enough money to not stress about buying groceries and paying rent in the same week. But the real tea is about my uncle's business absolutely imploding. That employee who reached out before? We've kept in touch. He finally quit last week, smart move, and we met for beers. The situation there is way worse than I thought. They've lost 4 out of their 5 big clients. Not just the 2 I knew about, 2 more jumped ship when orders got messed up repeatedly. They're operating at like 30% capacity now. My cousin had to return his precious Tesla LOL. Guess the bank wasn't cool with, but I'm supposed to get a bonus as a payment plan. The IT consultant they hired basically told them their entire system is fucked beyond repair since my cousin's fixes corrupted everything even worse. Would cost a small fortune to rebuild from scratch. But here's the best/worst part. My aunt has been telling everyone that I sabotaged the business on my way out. Like I'm both a worthless parasite and some tech genius who set up elaborate time bombs in their systems? Make it make sense? Last week my uncle tried a new approach. First came an actual offer. Triple my old salary, still less than I make now LOL, a fancy title, and a written apology from him, notably not from my aunt. When I didn't respond, the messages got desperate. Then angry. Then desperate again. The last one just said, "Please, we're going to lose everything." I finally replied with, "I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you find someone who can help." That's when things got even more bizarre. Yesterday, one of their remaining clients, a company I've worked with for years, emailed me directly asking if I'd consult with them since my uncle's business can't handle their needs anymore. I forwarded it to my new boss, who was pumped about the potential partnership. Then this morning my phone blew up with notifications. My uncle called an emergency family meeting and announced they'll probably have to close by the end of the quarter. My aunt apparently had a complete meltdown, screaming about how I'd destroyed everything, and they should sue me for what exactly? Being competent at my job, and then leaving it? My cousin, the non-Tesla one, called me crying, begging me to come back just long enough to fix things. I tried explaining that 1, the systems are probably beyond simple fixing at this point, and 2, my current contract has a non-compete clause. But we're family, she kept saying. Families help each other. Yeah, I said, they do. They also don't call family members worthless parasites and laugh about it. She hung up on me. I'm sitting in my new apartment right now looking at my actual decent work laptop, not the ancient refurbished thing my uncle claimed was perfectly adequate, and feeling, weird about all this? Like, I didn't set out to destroy their business. I just wanted to be treated with basic respect. Not my fault that I was apparently the only thing keeping their outdated, mismanaged company functioning. Been seeing a therapist, another perk of having real health insurance, who says I need to work on not feeling responsible for their failures. Easier said than done, I guess. Got that meeting with the former client next week. We'll update if anything interesting happens, but otherwise might be the end of this saga. Edit, to the person who'd med asking if I'd help them build a revenge virus for their family business. WTF no, that's illegal and insane. Blocking you. Final update. Hey Reddit, it's been a minute. Thought I should give a final update since so many of you have followed this whole mess and sent supportive messages. Seriously, thanks for that. Helped more than you know. It's been about 6 months since everything went down. Some days it feels like years ago, other days it still feels fresh. Had a nightmare about that dinner last week, actually. Anyway, my uncle's business officially closed about 3 months ago. They tried to keep going with the few clients they had left, but they kept messing up orders and missing deadlines. Last straw was when my cousin accidentally duplicated an order, and they made like $30,000 worth of custom parts that the client never ordered and refused to pay for, obviously. That client I mentioned in my last update ended up working with my new company. My boss put me on the project team, which was weird but kind of satisfying. We finished implementing their new system last week, on time, and actually under budget. The client sent our whole team these fancy snack baskets. First time in my entire working life, I've got more than a "yeah, that'll do" for my work. As for the family fallout, it's been a mixed bag. My cousins found jobs eventually. Turns out having manager on your resume still opens doors even if you sucked at it. My uncle is selling his house to pay off business debts. And my aunt? Still telling anyone who'll listen that I sabotaged the family legacy and always had out for them. Some people never change, I guess. As for me, I got promoted to team lead after that client project. My boss took me to lunch to tell me, said I was the obvious choice, and they were lucky to have me. Still feels weird getting positive feedback, lol. My salary now is almost triple what I made at my uncle's place, and I'm not living paycheck to paycheck for the first time ever. Got a car that doesn't break down constantly. Started dating someone who actually thinks my job is interesting and not just computer stuff. Even started a small side gig helping companies fix their inventory systems. Turns out lots of places need that kind of help. Sometimes I still think about that dinner, about what my aunt said, and everyone laughing. Still hurts if I'm being honest. But then I remember it's what pushed me to finally stand up for myself. I ran into one of those employees from the dinner last week at Home Depot, was trying to figure out which plant fertilizer won't kill my new houseplants, lol. He's working for a competitor now. Told me my uncle and aunt are living in some small condo, downsized from their big house. Said my uncle sometimes mentions how he messed up the best thing that ever happened to the business. Too little, too late, I guess. I don't check my old email much anymore, but last time I did there was another message from my uncle. Subject line was, "You were never a parasite." I was. Haven't opened it. Maybe someday. Thanks for following this whole saga, Reddit. Your comments help a lot when I was doubting myself and feeling guilty. If you're in a similar situation with family or work, just know that sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do for yourself. Edit, RIP my inbox. Can't answer all questions, but yes, I'm still in therapy working through all this. No, I'm not helping my uncle start a new business, WTF. Yes, I'll probably read that email eventually, but I'm not ready yet. Edit 2. For those asking about legal issues, there weren't any. I didn't sabotage anything, just stopped fixing their messes. And nothing in my contract prevented me from leaving.
My ex texted, "Increase the child support or I take you to court." I replied, "Proceed as necessary." Then I provided my lawyer with proof she was hiding income and misusing funds. A short while later, her lawyer was calling my lawyer to negotiate. I, Ben, 38M, guess I shouldn't be surprised, but still it was quite a message to receive. Divorced from Jennifer, 36F, for about 2 years now. We have one son, Noah, 8M. Split wasn't pretty, mostly because Jennifer has expectations. Always has. We agreed on child support, $1,200 a month, based on my salary and her reported part-time income from her online boutique thing. It covers more than Noah's fair share of expenses, plus extra. I pay on time every time. Also cover his health insurance and half of any major extras, school trips, braces eventually, etc. Never missed a payment. So Tuesday morning, I'm deep in debugging some code, phone buzzes. It's Jennifer. Jennifer, need to talk about CS. $1,200 isn't cutting it anymore. Costs are up. Need an increase to $2,000 a month starting next cycle. Me, Jennifer, we have a court-ordered agreement based on financials. Nothing significant has changed on my end. What specific costs have increased so drastically? Everything. Noah needs things. Clothes, activities, food is insane now. Don't nickel and dime me, it's for Noah. $2,000 or my lawyer will file for modification. Your choice. Me. Noah seemed fine and had plenty when I had him last weekend. If you want to formally request modification, you know the process. Talk to your lawyer. Fine. You asked for it. Expect the paperwork. Increase the payment now, or I take you to court. The entitlement just radiates off the screen. Your choice. Like she's doing me a favor by demanding nearly double. It's for Noah. The classic guilt trip, even though I suspect maybe 30% of that $1,200 actually goes towards his direct needs, based on some comments he's made and things I've seen. My blood pressure definitely spiked. But years of dealing with Jennifer taught me reacting emotionally gets you nowhere. She wants a fight. She thrives on drama. I took a deep breath. Typed back. Me, proceed as necessary. All communication regarding this should now go through my lawyer, Mr. Gregory. You have his contact info. Sent. Blocked her number temporarily to stop myself getting dragged into a text war. Emailed Mr. Gregory immediately. Jennifer threatening court for CS modification, demanding $2,000 a month. Instructed her to proceed formally via lawyers. Please be prepared for contact from her counsel. Suspect hidden income misuse of funds on her end. Recommend we start gathering evidence preemptively. Mr. Gregory replied within an hour. Understood. Let them make the first move filing-wise, but yes, let's quietly prepare. Send over anything you have regarding spending discrepancies or potential unreported income. So here we are, waiting for the official paperwork. But I'm not just waiting. I've suspected for months she's making way more than she claims from her little boutique, and that CS is funding her lifestyle, not Noah's needs. Time to see if I'm right. This isn't about disadvantaging her. It's about paying what's fair and ensuring Noah is actually benefiting. If she wants to play hardball, fine. Game on. Update? Okay, it's been a couple of weeks since the initial threat. As expected, Jennifer's lawyer, Ms. Nicole, filed the motion for child support modification. The paperwork arrived, full of inflated expenses for Noah and claiming Jennifer's income hasn't changed, making her sound like she's barely scraping by. The $2,000 demand is official. Mr. Gregory filed our initial response, denying the need for such a drastic increase and requesting full financial disclosure and discovery from Jennifer, including business bank statements for her boutique, personal accounts, credit cards, the works. Standard procedure, but we know this is where the truth usually hides. Meanwhile, I'd already started doing some digging, like Mr. Gregory suggested. Nothing illegal, just paying attention. And wow, social media goldmine. Jennifer's not exactly subtle. Her public Instagram? Full of pics from a recent weekend getaway, spa resort, cocktails, #needed this. A new designer handbag casually sitting on a restaurant table in another shot, treat yourself. Pics of Noah are there, but fewer than the lifestyle posts. These aren't cheap trips or items for someone claiming poverty, screenshotted everything, timestamps and all. Noah's comments. Kids notice things. Last time I had him, he mentioned Mommy got a new giant TV for her bedroom, and Mommy's friend Andrew drives a really fast car, we went for brunch. Not definitive proof of anything on its own, but adds to the picture. Andrew is the new boyfriend she insisted wasn't serious or contributing financially. The boutique, her online boutique's social media page, is separate. Lots of posts showcasing new arrivals, sold out items. Looks way more active than a barely making ends meet side hustle. Found a few comments from customers like, got my order, love it, fast shipping. Doesn't scream struggling artist. Forwarded all this to Mr. Gregory. He agreed it painted a picture inconsistent with her filing. Then came the supporters. Got a call from Jennifer's sister, Lauren, 38F, last Friday night. Lauren. Ben, what on earth are you doing to Jennifer? Me, Lauren, hello, I'm not doing anything. Jennifer is seeking a modification to child support through the courts. We are responding through lawyers, as she requested. Don't give me that legal talk. She told me you refused to give her more money for Noah. He's your son. She's struggling, Ben. That $1,200 is nothing these days. You make good money, just pay it. Me, my finances are part of the court calculation, and so are hers. The court will determine what's fair based on actual income and actual need. Actual need? She can barely afford rent. You saw her little apartment. Note, she chose that apartment, could have afforded slightly larger with the current support if she budgeted. You're just being spiteful because she moved on. Andrew doesn't pay her bills, you know. Me, Lauren, I'm not discussing this with you. This is between Jennifer, me, and our lawyers, per her own rules. You're unbelievable. You'll regret this when the judge sees how ungenerous you are. She's gonna take you to the cleaners. You owe her. Okay, Lauren. Gotta go. Hung up. Blocked her number 2. The sheer entitlement is staggering. They genuinely believe I should fund Jennifer's life indefinitely just because we were married and have a child. The idea that she needs to be honest about her finances doesn't even register. Mr. Gregory said this is common. The narrative gets spun to family and friends, painting the paying parent as the villain. Discovery is going to be interesting. Let's see what those bank statements actually say. Update 2. Alright, things escalated quickly. The discovery process has been illuminating and unpleasant. Jennifer dragged her feet providing documents. Miss Nicole sent over incomplete statements, claimed some were lost or irrelevant. Mr. Gregory had to file a motion to compel, basically asking the judge to force her hand. Judge granted it. Suddenly more documents appeared, though still likely not everything. But what we did get was damning. Bank statements. Her personal account showed the $1,200 CS coming in, and then money flying out for things like cosmetic store hauls, bar tabs, weekend trips, matching Instagram dates, and payments to high-end clothing stores. Very little that screamed child expenses beyond basic grocery runs. Crucially, there were regular, significant cash deposits, $500 to $1,000 chunks, multiple times a month, labeled vaguely like client payment or just deposit, far exceeding her claimed boutique income. Boutique account. The statements she did provide for her business showed more revenue than declared, but also strange transfers out to accounts we couldn't identify, and minimal claimed profit. Looked like textbook hiding income. Credit card statements. Similar story. Lots of personal spending, meals out, online shopping. Again, the cash flow didn't match her claimed income plus $1,200 CS. She was spending way more than she officially had. Mr. Gregory hired a forensic accountant, on my dime, yes, but necessary, to analyze everything. Given the urgency, we requested a rush preliminary analysis focusing on the obvious red flags. The report came back quickly, noting that while a full audit would take more time, the pattern was clear. Jennifer was likely underreporting her income by at least $2,500 to $3,000 per month, possibly more, primarily through his unexplained cash transactions and potentially the boutique obfuscation. While definitively proving the exact source of every cash deposit wasn't yet complete, the pattern, regularity, and lack of any plausible explanation provided strong leverage. The analysis also showed less than $500 per month could be directly tied to verifiable child expenses, groceries, some clothes, his share of utilities. The rest was subsidizing her lifestyle. While this was happening, Jennifer tried some other tactics. Manipulative comments via Noah. Noah started saying things like, "Mommy says you don't give her enough money for my stuff. And Mommy's sad we can't go on a big vacation because you won't help." It was upsetting, but I gently corrected him. "Buddy, Mommy and I handle grown-up money stuff separately. I make sure you have everything you need, always." Documented these comments for Mr. Gregory as evidence of her attempting to involve Noah inappropriately. The school concern. Received an email from Noah's school principal. An anonymous parent had expressed concern about Noah's home situation, hinting at financial instability affecting him due to the divorce dispute. Thankfully, the principal knows me, knows Noah is fine at school, and basically saw it for what it likely was. We had a calm chat. I explained Jennifer was seeking more support, and things were tense, but Noah was insulated and provided for. She seemed satisfied and said unless concrete issues arise, she considers it parental conflict spillover. Clearly an attempt to exert pressure. So low. Mr. Gregory compiled everything, the forensic accountant's preliminary findings highlighting the pattern of deposits and spending, the bank credit card statements, the social media evidence, my logs of Noah's comments, and the school incident. He drafted a stark summary package. Yesterday morning, he emailed it directly to Miss Nicole. The subject line was blunt: financial disclosure discrepancies and evidence of undisclosed income misused funds, case name. The email basically said, "Here's compelling evidence suggesting your client has misrepresented her financial situation in her declaration, is significantly underreporting income, and is demonstrably using child support for personal expenses unrelated to the child. Our preliminary analysis suggests current support might even be too high based on her likely actual income. We demand you withdraw the modification request immediately. If not, we will file this evidence with the court seeking dismissal, sanctions against your client for filing in bad faith, and a recalculation of support based on imputed income, potentially resulting in a reduction of current support and her paying Mr. My Last Name's legal fees." No response from Miss Nicole all day yesterday. The silence was telling, waiting to see how they react to having their position challenged so directly. Part of me is anxious, part of me feels grimly satisfied. Actions have consequences. Final update. Well, folks, it's over, and quicker than I expected. About 48 hours after Mr. Gregory sent that evidence package to Miss Nicole, my phone rang. It was Mr. Gregory. Ben, good news. Just got off the phone with Nicole. Using first name for lawyer seems okay in direct speech. Me? Oh. What did she have to say? My heart rate picked up. She sounded subdued. Said her client, Jennifer, has reconsidered her position and wants to withdraw the request for modification. Immediately. Seems our evidence package made quite an impression. She tried to float an informal let's just drop it all idea, but I held firm that any offer needs to be formal. Me. So she's folding? Just like that? Looks like it. Facing the evidence, potential sanctions for perjury and bad faith filing, and the real possibility of support being reduced plus paying your legal fees, seems reality finally hit. She's offering to withdraw with prejudice, meaning she can't refile later based on these same circumstances. The formal offer should be in my inbox shortly. He was right. Less than an hour later, Mr. Gregory confirmed receipt of the formal email offer from Miss Nicole. Mr. Gregory and I discussed the options. Option 1. Accept her withdrawal, keep support at $1,200, and be done. Option 2. Push it. File the evidence formally, potentially get support lowered based on her hidden income, and maybe get legal fees awarded. I thought about it hard. Pushing it meant more legal fees for me up front, more stress, potentially dragging Noah more into it if it went to a full hearing. Jennifer getting hit with lower support and paying my fees felt like justice, but the cost and conflict felt draining. The primary goal was stopping the unreasonable increase and the misuse of funds. Her being caught and forced to fold was, honestly, deeply satisfying on its own. The change in Miss Nicole's approach spoke volumes. My decision: accept the withdrawal with prejudice. But Mr. Gregory drafted a response stating that while we accept, we explicitly reserve the right to revisit the support amount downwards in the future should evidence of continued significant financial misrepresentation or misuse of funds surface. Basically, a clear warning shot. We know what you did. Don't try it again. Miss Nicole accepted immediately via email. Signed agreement filed with the court yesterday. Done. So, the outcome? Jennifer's demand for $2,000 a month? Gone. Child support stays at $1,200 a month. She knows that I know she's likely hiding income and misusing funds. That knowledge and the evidence we have documented is its own form of accountability. She had to pay her own lawyer's fees for this failed endeavor. Miss Nicole probably wasn't cheap. Her relationship with her sister Lauren is apparently strained, according to a mutual acquaintance. Lauren feels Jennifer wasn't entirely honest with her about the situation. Surprise. Jennifer hasn't contacted me directly. Can almost feel the simmering resentment from here. No apology, no acknowledgement, just silence. As expected from someone with that level of entitlement. Change doesn't come easily. Do I feel bad? Maybe a tiny bit that it came to this. But mostly, relief, vindication. I stood my ground, didn't let her bully me, and used the system she invoked to shut down her entitled grab. I protected my finances and ensured the support level remains fair based on the original agreement, even if the evidence suggests she should be getting less based on her real income. The justice wasn't some dramatic courtroom takedown. It was quiet, methodical proof, shutting down her claims and forcing her own lawyer to scramble for damage control. Seeing her entitled overreach blow up in her face because of her own lack of honesty, that's the consequence she earned. Now I can just focus on Noah, making sure he's happy and provided for, without his mother's financial games hanging over everything. Cost me some stress and legal fees, but worth it for the peace of mind. Thanks for reading along, Reddit. Document everything, stay calm, and let their own actions be their undoing. Time to move forward.